Okay, you guys, what is up? This is Oji Senpai here today to review Hunter x Hunter, chapter 341. You guys all been waiting for this. Togashi's back, and the art was actually somewhat improved in this chapter, along with the color page. I like that a lot. So, Togashi didn't spend his entire 2 years just playing Dragon Quest. Very good, very good. So, let's get into the basics of the chapter. Then we're going to go into this chapter because this chapter had a lot of content. Um, First things first, basics. Pacing, story progression, and artwork. The pacing of this chapter, I'm actually give that a good plus. It's actually really good plus pacing. Um, Not bad at all. Like really good pacing that you usually see. The well, not usually see, but you see every once in a while. Story progression, I'm gonna give that good plus as well because story progression. I mean, we're now having the Zodiacs actually meet beyond the tarot now, and there's this plan that he might have, and that's pretty interesting. So yeah, story progression. I have to give that a good plus, and the artwork, I'm gonna have to give that actually a rating of good. That was improved artwork. It was not on some good shit, but it was improved. Like I see, that was actually good artwork. Like like it improved tremendously, and I'll give Togashi credit for that. Let's get into this actual. Wait, hold on. Before I get into that, so let's get do the overall basics. Good plus, good, overall rating of good plus with the basics. Let's get into the actual chapter. So this is basically a chapter that has one big warning. Do not go into the dark continent unless you're prepared. That's pretty much the warning that this chapter gives. And we do see some interesting things. The first thing we see in this chapter is apparently these people that are working for either the Hunter Association or working for the V5. I believe the V5. And we find out about these hunters and these other people that tried to go into the Dark Continent before. However, apparently they got fucked up by we don't know what. And the dudes in the laboratory, the ones that we saw, the ones that were in cages, were former guys who tried to go in. However, the Dark Continent is that crazy. Like, apparently, like these dudes got caught by rope and got roped up, but I don't know exactly what they mean by that. Like, it's really weird. And when I said the art is good, I don't say the art is fantastic. So I don't know exactly as to what happened with the art. The art was like it didn't really give you like a lot of stuff as to what happened. When it comes to um when it comes to the actual laboratory itself. Like I thought it was interesting how he explained how, like there's this book apparently which details like all this stuff that was found in the Dark Continent, and people thought of it as a folklore. However, as all these calamities happened and as everything took place, people started realizing, yo, this might not actually be folklore. This might actually be true. And there's this one dude, this younger executive, who has to read this stuff and I should figure out, what's going on in the Dark Continent and why it's so dangerous. And the primary mission of these two people, along with whoever they're working for, is to try and stop Kakin, and Beyond the Terror from going into the New World, aka the Dark Continent, aka the outside world. So that I thought was pretty interesting. Now, we go into the Zodiacs and Isaac Netero and his son. The Zodiacs see this video of Isaac Netero, and Isaac Netero pretty much gives like his final thoughts on his son in the video. And Netero's talking about, yo, listen, man. Well, Chairman Netero, former Chairman Netero's talking about, yo, listen, man. I like my son, but this dude has fucked up so many. This dude has fucked up like once, and it caused a huge calamity in the human world that we really had a hard time building up upon, like not building up upon, but rebuilding from. And Beyond the Terror will not stand down from a challenge. So I want you guys, I thought the entire Hunter organization to actually go into the Dark Continent and explore it for yourselves. And he doesn't want his son to do it. He wants the Hunter organization to do it because his son hasn't actually like his son's explored some of it before. However, apparently he doesn't want his son to do it because his son causes way too much trouble. And another thing is that he mentions that he's only been to the Dark Continent twice. Now, when you think about it, every time someone goes into the Dark Continent, a calamity occurs. If Isaac Netero has gone into the Dark Continent twice, and that means that two calamities have occurred because of what he did. That according to what like the logic goes, and at the end of the chapter, we see the five great calamities. A few of them I can mention by name. There are others I'm not too sure about. The one with the gases, that the AI or the A1. The one with the Great Sphere. Another one with that huge snake, the Hellbell, something like that. And like the one about the virus. Possibly two of those calamities that Chairman Nintero caused might have been two of those calamities we saw at the end of the chapter. Possibly. That's what I think. And if there are five of them, that means there are three left that have been caused by some hunter or some other person. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But basically, he says the reason why I survived was not because of my own strength, it was because of determination and me wanting a combatant to fight against. And we all know Isaac Netero crazy as fuck. I mean, this nigga just he picks the weirdest teams, the weirdest ways. I mean, I love the dude. Don't get me wrong, he's nasty, but bro, I mean, you need. It's kind of sad that you died, but at the same time, I mean, kind of a relief in a sense for the Hunter organization because they don't have to deal with your craziness, at least not for too long. Although obviously these guys cared for him a lot, like they really did. So that I thought was pretty interesting. And the fact that he's actually like going against his Beyond the Terror, like he knows that Beyond the Terror is some type of threat. Obviously, I don't think Beyond the Terror is a villain, like a villain per se. I think he's more of a guy that just doesn't want people to fuck around with his goals. That's what I think personally. But I will say that this was pretty interesting, like what Isaac Nisero said. Now, the Zodiacs are still wondering as to whether or not they should follow Isaac Netero's instructions. Because Isaac Netero says, look, I'm not telling you to do it. I'm doing it as a request. You can do it if you want to, but you can't. And then, like, he's just trying to confuse them, like, just to fuck around with them. And it's obvious that he wants them to do it. Like, it's not necessarily an order. It's like, if you guys, for, one last time, just for me, why don't you guys go into the Dark Continent and to fuck shit up? And people in the Zodiacs are wondering, who should lead the expedition, whether or not they should actually go, because they did get an order from the V5 saying, "Yo, hunt this nigga Beyond the Terror," and basically just wondering, well, is it worth it? Is the Dark Continent really worth it? If Isaac and Terror only went in there twice, and they're still wondering, but the one person that people seem to have on their mind, at least the Zodiacs do, for who should lead the expedition is Jing Freaks, and we see him in this chapter. We don't know where he is exactly. He could be anywhere. Like I don't know exactly where he is. Some people said he's in Meteor City. I don't even fucking know. Like this dude, wherever Jing goes, you don't know where the fuck he's at. Like seriously, like no one in the story does. And so people are just trying to figure out who's going to lead the expedition and how's it going to work out. So that's pretty interesting. And finally, we have pretty much Beans being called by Beyond the Tarot. Beyond the Tarot says to him, "Yo, come over to Kakin." They head over to Kakin and they meet up with Beyond, and Beyond's like, "Yo, could you guys do me a favor? I want you guys to tell the V5 that I've been captured." And then he mentions something about give and take. I don't know exactly what that means, but I can assume possibly that maybe he wants to cover his tracks, cover his scent. Like if the Zodiacs tell the V5 that Beyond Netero's been caught, but oh okay, there's no problem then. Meaning that Beyond Netero can do whatever the fuck he wants, which is actually pretty smart. But the give and take situation, I don't know necessarily what that means. Which is probably gonna be like explained next chapter maybe. And finally, so that's pretty interesting. What Beyond Netero's up to. Beyond Netero is probably one of the most slimiest niggas on the well, not slimiest niggas, but like he's slimy. He is probably one of the like the sneakiest dudes. Because like if that's really is what he's doing, then he might not necessarily be exactly like Isaac Netero. Exactly. Like he might act like him, but not to the fullest degree. Isaac Netero was crazy, but at least the man was at least he was a good man. And Beyond Netero is just crazy as fuck. But anyways. So we see that, and then finally at the end of the chapter, we see the younger executive again. He is now reading up on the five great calamities. The gases of AI, A1, the Great Sphere, these human head looking things like bobbleheads, the Hellbells, and the Hellbell snake looking thing with two tails, and finally the it's a virus. And apparently, he sees the virus and he's like shocked. So we'll find out more about the other calamities later, and I really want to know like what exactly are they, like what led up to them, and if Asinetero did go into the continent twice, was he the cause of two of those calamities? So yeah, this chapter I'm actually going to give it a rating of good plus, to commemorate Hunter x Hunter being back. Togashi, you improved somewhat with your art, and so yeah, good plus rating overall. Like the video if you like it, dislike it if you don't. Tell me your thoughts on this chapter. Did you love the fact that Hunter x Hunter came back? What are your thoughts on the five great calamities? What are your thoughts on Beyond the Tarot? Just tell me. Subscribe if you have not. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. I'm Oji Senpai, and until next time, peace, guys.